You're also going to need a boom truck. These things are real hard to put up without a boom truck or a crane or a tractor with a really good front end loader that has good height and maneuverability. It's better with a boom truck or crane because you can be more exact in your location of placement as you pick pieces up and put them. You're attaching things 12 feet above the ground to each other. That can be a little dangerous as well. So safety becomes a huge aspect. You'll see that at the bottom of the page. You have to be aware of and develop a set of signals that you use when you hoist members in the air. And you have to have certain practices of when you can and cannot walk under pipes. You also need to wear head protection. You should wear steel-toed boots when you're working with all those steel parts. You should wear eye protection whenever you're using the impact tools so that you're protecting your body from all the potential hazards that exist out there. Yeah, I know some of you are going, well, goodness, where do you ever see that happen, you know? Most of these guys just go out there, they're wearing their tennis shoes and they got their ball cap on and away they go and build a pivot. Well, you are exposing yourself to quite a bit of liability when you're out there working that way. And eventually, that person's going to get hurt. So you need to dress appropriately for the job. Means foot protection, head protection, eye protection. The spans then are built, and you build all this stuff on the ground, and then once you build it on the ground, you raise it up. So you're not building it dangling up there off of the pipe, you're building it on the ground. You can wire it all while it's still on the ground, and all the way to the drops down to the motors. So most of that you want to try to do while it's still being built on the ground, so everything's no more than 4 or 5 feet high. The trussing is only about 4 or 5 feet high, so you're working at this level or lower when you're working on the stuff. Then once you get the span built on the ground, then you pick one end up and hook it on to the previous pipe, or the first span would be hooked to the pivot point, and then you raise the other side up and the pivot legs are just attached but not firmly, and they swing into place, and then you have to build the base beam under it while it's up in the air. So you are exposing yourself to potentially having that thing fall, so you always work from the sides. You never work straight under the pipe that's above your head. You always stay off to the sides and build from the sides in and get that solidified. Like I say, the wiring should be done on the ground. It must be wired by a licensed electrician so that it is set to be approved, or you can be an apprentice working under the guise of a licensed electrician and wire them as well. So you could be a first-year student working out there in a cooperative training job and wire pivots legally, as long as you have a licensed electrician on site that's working with you. And then he has to inspect your work. Well, actually, the final inspection will be done by the state inspector. And it will be, all new construction must be inspected by the state inspector. Wouldn't matter what state you're in. If you're in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, they're going to have a state guy come in and check out the wiring before it's approved to hook the power up from the power company. They have pretty good control of that because the power company, they just don't give it the seal of approval until they like it. And you can't hook on, the power company won't hook you up. So the power company does nothing until the electrical inspector says, hook it up. So it's like you're not going to get power until it's right. And that's a good check and balance, because that is the place where we really could have some serious potential damage done to human life if it's improperly wired. Plus you can sure mess up a lot of dollars worth of circuitry. Once you got it up and standing and wired and inspected, and now you can turn the power on, now you got to get that thing straight. Now there's a couple of ways these things are built. They're built, some companies will string them right out across the field, and you'll build them right in place, stand them up, and they'll be relatively straight when you start them up. other process is to stockpile it all at a site somewhere in the neighborhood of the field, build it all in one area, one staging area, and then tow the towers out one at a time and stand them into place. Then they kind of basically align them as they put them in place. So they tow them out and they get them pretty much straightened and aligned. When you do start it up, the first thing that must be done is to get that machine totally straight and set the alignment on all of those entities, which is another class in itself.